Hey, I'm attaching this video to the assignment in case you could not make it to our Google Meets discussion. I feel like you'd have a bit more clarity on what you're supposed to do just by getting some instruction from me on that. So we're working on the objectives in AVP 10, A and B. A and B, A covers examining real-world issues relating to current topics, and you guys know what the current topic is. It's this COVID scare. B is creating unique methods and products for audiences beyond the classroom. So our eventual goal is for you to be able to produce a video related to this COVID topic and publish it for all to see. Don't worry about the production part yet. We'll get more into the production next week. This week is focusing on brainstorming and planning and talking about what kind of things that you can gather. I'll also post materials later this week on how you can, where you can upload your materials once you get them and what their value is and stuff like that. But for this week, here's what we went over. We did some discussion on just what did you think about this? When did you start to notice it? What all have you noticed happening? Because you need to start noticing things around you so you can start thinking, oh, this is how I want to cover it, or this is what I want to point out about it. So this is where you're going to get ideas for what's your topic, what's your angle. We talked about the portfolio site, and I wanted to note, don't worry about the items that need to be produced and edited. If you do not have access to the editor at home, I'm not going to count that against you during this time. So if you have questions on that, you can contact me. I brought up the example of Anne Frank. She wrote a diary, which is now popular. Her time, it was the Holocaust. And what made her story unique, well, one, she wrote it down during the time when it was happening. And that's why I would like us to cover this while it's happening, so that later our stuff, will be more noteworthy. Jeff, you gotta not make noise with that background doing this. Okay. Some historically memorable events that it would have been good to cover if you were around and noticed it, that people still reminisce on today. I brought up, you can see them here. And the thing is, you may feel like everybody's covering this. Why do we have to cover this? Well, especially the national stuff. News leaders, they want to make sure that they get all the people watching, and so they're going to try to up their revenue by upping the number of viewers. And how they do that is covering, and they don't want to miss out on viewers by being the one news source not covering it. So that's why they have to cover it. Why we want to cover it is it's historically significant. So it may be the most impactful thing that you'll post on your YouTube that later people can see, and you can go, oh yeah, I did that about the COVID scare. You remember that? Everybody's going to remember that. So everybody can relate. So it's a good thing to produce. So that's why we're going to do it. Here's the process for learning something new. You got to look at examples. So basically that's the research. That's number 2 of the assignments this week. Look at examples of any of these topics and the coverage done on them. Figure out the key ingredients, the usual steps. So just pick one specific example. I'm not going to make you have to tell me all your examples. But after you've seen a few examples on the clown attacks, put what did they tend to have, kind of list that in their coverage. Because those are the things you want to make sure not to miss and that you want to make sure to include in your coverage. So that's why you do that. Or put some usual steps. Kind of outline what you would do. Then brainstorm your own ideas. That's part 3 for this week. So brainstorm your own ideas. I give you 5 questions, and I would like 4 quality answers for the brainstorming part to help get you thinking on this topic. And that's the focus of this week. Think on the topic, because the more you think on it, the more different ways you can think, I want to cover this. I can do this. I can make it good. I can make it interesting. I could even possibly make it funny, or I can make it dramatic and serious and somber, however you want to do it. Once you do that, you can select a topic, plan, gather the parts, and produce. So the research section is in the document shared with you. Post a link to the report, list the key components of the report, and tell what makes it a unique angle. These are the questions also in your document guiding you to examples. So I have in the Padlet here some of the discussion we went over. You can just put it in your document now that you've missed our discussions. But who might have a unique or informed perspective on this? Kids, teachers, certified scientists, grocery workers, the president, but we get his perspective quite a bit, airport workers. So if you know anybody in your life who is any of these people, you could just get them, ask them a few questions, say, hey, tell what you're experiencing right now. The next column is questions. So this is to try to get you thinking, who can I talk about this? Who can I talk to? Do I know any elderly person? My grandpa's 94, and they're kind of shutting down his facility. So I could get his perspective on video, and that would be your A roll. You'd be covered there. And then you just need B roll. But we'll get more into that later. What are some questions you could ask in interviews? Think of the basics at first. Those are some of the ones we went over in discussion. And then more specifically with elderly folk, how many people do you know who's been impacted by it? What are your concerns? How do you feel about not having as much human contact? Do you feel like you're more likely to be affected? My husband works in an elderly home. He could get a lot of perspectives on that. So just think, what connections do you have that you can still reach out to in this time? Do you have a cousin? Do you have an aunt? Can you get a video conference going with them where they can record? Can you have them just record their answers to your questions on their phone? What can you do? So this column is just for thinking of good questions. And so I'd like you to refer to this for ideas. Sometimes we have some humorous ones, like if you just want to focus on the toilet paper issue, you could ask a series of people about how much toilet paper do you have, how much do you usually keep on hand, how many squares are you reduced to using now, things like that. Then we discussed resources. So I feel like you're kind of going to be concerned that you're limited with being stuck at home. But if you ever make an outing, use your camera. Grab some examples while you're out, like at grocery stores, pictures of the empty shelves, shots. I've gotten some video of the empty shelves, and I will share this folder with you so that when you start producing, you can use all the stuff I've grabbed. So I got Walmart. I got, I mainly shop at Walmart. I got a testimonial of my husband talking about in the grocery store. I got a recording of all the MISD COVID updates up to whatever that date is right there. I've got a Lowe's sign about some things missing. So just while you're out, take shots of what you see out there that's COVID related. And that can be your B-roll. The A-roll is testimonials or any acting that you want to provide on the topic. So it could be a film. It could be a drama. It can be more news-ish. Thinking about these usually led us to some good ideas. Unintended consequences. My video example is family shut-in relationships. This guy pretended to be the mom and the kid in the household, and the mom's getting on the kid about, you need to do your homework, you need to clean up around here, tripping over the kid's stuff. A lot of things that people can relate to. So if I was doing the 5-4-2, I would put the link to this video, because this was my example that I was like, yeah, I want to do something somewhat like that. But not exactly, you don't want to copy it, you want to be original. And then those things that I just listed for you. Acting like the mom and the kid, mom gets stressed out, kid sleeps in. Those are some key factors that he brings out in that. That's my list. What makes it unique? That he acts like both the mom and the kid. So there's my example. Hotels closing, airlines with fewer passengers. So if you know anybody who flies on a plane, you could get their perspective. Ammunition in businesses are booming, so people are buying more ammunition. If you could ask somebody who's big on guns, why, and get their perspective, you could. You could, if you know any cops, ask them some questions. Home Depot, line markers for distance from each other, so those are some good B-roll facts that you could find. Missing your senior year activities is a big one. What about prom? Imagine prom under COVID. You can make some funny video of that. I don't know how, but you could be creative. So last question, what are some unusual or even humorous ways to cover this? Some that I proposed are a faked job, like apparently they're supposed to keep people from being 6 feet away from each other when they're jogging. They can't run next to each other. Who's going to do that? So I imagine that they just hire somebody for this job, and then I do a video of her. This is my job. I got to find people out jogging and push them away from each other. Except I got to use a pole because I can't be close to them either. The germaphobe. They're like, yes, finally they're telling everybody to wash their hands and cover their cough. Maybe the world can be saved. I don't know. And then this was a great recommendation from Carlene. Have the audio say they're using this time off from work to relax, and then the video shows them working at home. So it's just kind of like an ironic statement. This is what it's expected to kind of look like, but here's what it actually looks like. So I think that's a great suggestion. So I need your original answers on the document, and I have condensed the document to where it's just one document for the whole week, 5 week 4. 1, 2, and 3 can all be done in that one document shared with you, so that you don't have to open this and that and the other. So hopefully this was helpful. I'm going to have some conference times when I'm available to answer questions through Google Meets. If you want to just drop in and ask me a question, I'll be posting the conference times for that soon. But I'm hoping you'll get excited on this, and I look forward to seeing what you guys can gather.